Paula Janis, Carole Demas. Thank you for coming.
Nice to see
Is that
you.
it?
I'll try another. We have my back. How about this one? Okay, we're good. Hello, everybody. My husband is an audio engineer, and when I put a microphone down like that, he comes running and says, "No!" So I'm trained.
Woof.
Woof, right?
Sorry about that. So this is the one event that people kept stopping me in the hallway saying, "Are you going to do a magic garden thing?" I'm like, "Yeah." It's like, how many people grew up with the show? How many people grew up with the show?
That's wonderful.
So, first question is, so how did it come about, the genesis of this?
Well, I can start that, and then Paula can, because we finish each other's sentences, so she can tell you the second half. But back in the late 60s, early 70s, there was a lot of interest in offering good educational programming for children, and stations who wanted to be well thought of and have their licenses renewed and whatever were very into doing that. So WPIX decided that they wanted to make a show of their own rather than try to dig around and find something to run. And they were looking for someone with education of children in background, when I was a teacher, and someone with television experience. So they called my agent, asked me to go up and talk to them. But they wanted to do a cartoon show, and they wanted a host. That's what they wanted to do. And I thought, we could do so much better than that. Paula and I have been friends now for 65 years. We've been friends since we were 14.
Please don't do the math.
We had sung for the New York Shakespeare Festival together. Paula plays the guitar, I do not. We were teachers at DS7 in Brooklyn together in a double enrollment kindergarten room. We had everything that fit what they were looking for, except the idea of doing a cartoon show. So I said, we could be a great team, and we would love to give you an idea of what we could do. And I thought, I'm talking myself out of a job here, what's the matter with me? But I wanted to work with my friends so much, and I just knew that we could come up with something good.
To take it back just a little bit farther, when Carole and I met at Midwood High School when we were 14 years old, we were very good friends, and then we went to different colleges, and we didn't drift apart, but we didn't see as much of each other as we had previously. Until one day, we're at NYU, New York University Graduate School, in an enormous classroom, history of education, and I'll never forget it because it was so incredibly boring that you couldn't see straight. But I hear the teacher is actually calling the roll on this first day, and he calls Carole Demas. What? Where is she? She's in this class? And then he calls my name, which at that time was Paula Rosen, and she has the same reaction.
Where? Is there another Paula Rosen? But there she was, my friend.
And right after that, I got a teaching license. Carole already had this. And I got a teaching job to teach kindergarten. And on the first day before school started, new teachers had to report to the school. And this was PS7 under the Brooklyn Bridge in Brooklyn. And I get to the school, and the little principal, who had 3 hairs on his head, was tearing each one of them out because it was a double kindergarten, and the other teacher had just called me to say that she was pregnant. And in those days, you could not teach if you were pregnant. Can you even imagine how that would go down today? No. Anyway, so I said, don't move, don't move. I called Carole, she came running down, and And of course,
jumped in
she
my
got the
little
job.
Volkswagen Beetle and drove to PS7.
And we too taught in one giant classroom, 2 teachers and 50 children under the Brooklyn Bridge. We didn't know anything about anything. So what did we do? We sang songs, we told stories, we jumped up and down, we showed them how not to eat the paste.
They didn't speak English, many of them. They had never been in school before. They'd never been to pre-K or anything like that, no nursery school. They came into this great big building. The only time they ever had to do that was when they were coming for shots. So the first thing they did was cry. Non-stop. Until we finally convinced them that this wasn't going to be scary, and we were going to have a great time, and we were going to learn a lot, and we were going to be prepared to go into first grade and learn how to read. And we got lucky. It worked. And we brought all of that to the Magic Garden about 10 years later at WPIX, and we worked on shows that were 1 page, just an outline that we had helped prepare, no dialogue. We made it up as we went along.
And sometimes you could really tell them.
And we gave them lists of songs we could do with 2 voices and a guitar, and stories and things we needed. And it was a crazy, crazy time, because Paula had just had her first of 3 children, and I was working on Broadway as the original Sandy in Grease. And I was doing 8 shows a week, and she was taking care of a little baby and hardly ever sleeping. And we had 1 day a week on Mondays to shoot the Magic Garden, and we made the best of it. And the rest is history. I'm sorry you asked that question. You don't stop.
That was my 3rd, 4th, and 5th question. So, did you guys write the songs together?
No.
No.
But we did edit them a little and add to them, and never got credit for any of that because we figured out how to copyright something. We just couldn't figure that out. But
A lot of the songs we sang were PD songs and folk songs that, from all nations and from all times. We even went back to Chaucer and Shakespeare and things like that. Because the idea was we wanted to bring these children more music than they heard on the street and in their own homes, a wider variety of music. And today when we meet you, you say things like, I never knew there was that kind of music. You made me appreciate so many things that would never have come into my life. And that was a nice thing to hear.
Oh, so they were actual folk songs.
Oh, yes.
well, not all of them, but
Some of
Most of
them.
many. Well, we actually even sang 1 or 2 Broadway songs.
Yes, and some pop songs of the time, which was in the early 70s.
So, how did the show come across so psychedelic?
Gosh,
Because it was the 70s.
and there we were in our bell bottoms with our little boots
And the talking,
and the talking squirrel and the
the
mushrooms.
mushrooms.
Yes.
Mushrooms.
No, we were not eating them.
And they were so sure of that. Everyone was sure. And there was never anybody who would be less likely to eat a mushroom than the 2 of us.
We had too much work to do. And we still have them. And we bring them with us when we do our live performances. And the minute they appear, people just get happy. You don't have to eat them. You only have to see them.
So the show ran for an unusually long time, being what it was, which was great. Like, I guess children became teenagers became parents while watching the show, because it lasted over
Well, it was almost 13 years.
almost 13 years.
From 1972 to 1974 and a half. I'm sorry, 84 and a half. And of course, in the very beginning, when it first started, it was only once a week. And then, as we caught up a few shows, then they played it 4 times a week. And on Friday was Joyous Fun School. And a lot of people have said, we liked you better than Joya.
But
Joya was a serious jazz singer.
she was terrific, and a lot of kids really did enjoy her.
Right. And then it went every day. And until they rescinded the Children's Television Act, which was the reason we had gone on the air in the first place, pretty
much, yeah.
We were off like that.
Well, there wasn't a lot of commercial time, the way our show was built. And, you know, the new station manager thought it was time for them to make some money. We had just released our last album, which was called Musical Goose on the Loose, and it was a Grammy nominee, and it was based on the rhymes and favorite songs of childhood that probably everyone in this room is familiar with. Only we did them in different musical styles, and we got some of the great jazz musicians that we knew and studio musicians that we knew, and we just started having a good time with them. And that was not a good time for the Magic Garden to stop just when we had made the investment in this recording, but at least we got a nomination out of it, so all was not lost. And we still have it. We still sell the CD, so it's around.
There are 10 episodes on a DVD collection, which it's very popular, and even though children's television today is very different than the Magic Garden, we've discovered that young children still love the Magic Garden, and will sit down and watch 10 episodes and over and over and over again, you know. And it still works.
It's classic, you know. Children are still children, and some things are timeless. Well, we'll have parents who write us, and they're buying the DVD collection, and they say, we have children. We're really buying this for us. But maybe the children will like it. And then we hear from them and they say, we're amazed because there's so much media thrown at them. They have so much stuff to see and watch, but they like this. And it makes their parents very happy to be sharing it. It makes us happy too.
Sometimes we see 3 generations in the audience when we're doing a live concert show at the Magic Garden. There'll be the grandmother who was the mother originally, the mother who was the child originally, and now there's a new child who's scratching his head and saying, how come my mother and my grandmother know these songs?
Or why are they sitting in this audience being so silly and weird? They're getting up, we tell the kids to get up and do this and that, and the parents just jump right up into it too. And the kids are just as stunned and amused by watching Mom as they are watching us.
I think the first time I saw these after a long, long time of not, the early days of Facebook, I guess they were on YouTube, and like really hard to see copies, maybe somebody...
We don't know how they even got there.
How they even got there. But people would, but it's cool though, because people would start sharing them, at least my friends were crazy as me. And I was like, oh my God, I forgot about their show. And then other people started chiming like, it's still around, no, it's not still around, but everybody forgot about it. And then just seeing a little bit of it reminded everyone how educational, tripping, and unusually weird and very cool it was.
We like to be thought of as cool. That's interesting.
And actually, they found the lost Christmas special.
Heard about that.
That was a serious find, right? And they have since run it on Christmas Day, or a few days around Christmas, for the past couple of years. And a few episodes now and then. So it's amazing to us.
The Daily News ran a whole page about the finding of this thing, because there were storage vaults in the basement of the Daily News building where there was a flood. And some maintenance person came up to WPIX and said, you guys have some stuff stored down there, and we think it's probably damaged or going to be, so we better get down there. And everybody at PIX just looked at each other and went, storage vaults? They didn't know they were there, and they didn't. No one had a key. So the head of social media, Rolanda Pujol, ran down to the basement and broke the door down. And when he got in there, the water was about that high, and everything on the lower shelves, unfortunately, was completely shot. And then he looked up, and he said he saw these 3 or 5 big fat reels of tape that said, "A Magic Garden Christmas." And that was something that he hadn't seen, so he got very excited. Obviously, it was in an old format. You know, it wasn't even edited, but he saved it, and then he got in touch with us and said, "We've got the pieces, but we don't know how they go together." So we don't know what comes first, we don't know anything. So my husband, Stuart Allen, helped them to reassemble it, and they started running it, and people are enjoying it. So we're just feeling very blessed and very happy that it's still out there for people who enjoy it. It's great.
Oh, boy.
What's your most memorable moment for each of you on the set? Or performing?
Wow. 47 years, that's a lot of moments.
No, on the Magic Garden.
I know, I've been in the Magic.
Well, some of the most memorable moments would be when we would open up the story box to tell the story. We had told them what story we were going to tell, and they would put props in there for us to put on and tell the story. And there would be things in there that we had no idea what that was. How were we supposed to tell the story we thought we were going to tell with that?
Is this what we told them? Paula would hold something up to me like I was supposed to identify it. I don't know what that is either. But so there was a certain mystery about it, which means that you always wondered what was in there, and so did we.
There was another time, just to tell you another moment, when we had this cat that had kittens. And we were singing
Three little kittens.
kitten song. And the mother cat decided that she didn't like where these little kittens were situated. So she began picking them up one at a time, jumping out of this crate that she was in and taking them off somewhere. And then coming back and getting the next one. We sang Three Little Kittens over and over and over again until she got all of those kittens moved to wherever she wanted them.
The cameras kept running. It was absolutely irresistible. You know, they were just at that age when they were all skin, you know, right here. And she would grab each one very tenderly and leap out of the basket and go. And it turned out she was taking them to the control room. Why she was fond of that spot, we don't really know. And